I've done this really at a high level really well, but I've learned at its core to grow your business, to grow anything in life. Be a good person, be humble, be nice, be caring about people. And so I'd say that butterfly effect probably came around when I was like, yeah, like 12 to 14, that transition period from basketball to golf.
Hey guys, welcome to Hi, the How I Got Here podcast. I'm your host, Travis Waters, and I created this podcast to share stories that are worth telling, whether it's someone going from zero to hero, hero to zero, or just something in between. On today's episode, we talk to Aaron Eisman, who very early on wanted to be an NBA basketball player, to transitioning into a fascination for journalism, into where he is today. Let's go ahead and hop right into our conversation. I hope you guys enjoy. Hey guys, it's me, Travis, here with the How I Got Here podcast. Today's episode, we are joined by Mr. Aaron himself. If you do not know him by name or by face, Aaron, if you don't mind, let's go straight into it. Do a quick, super short, high-level overview of right now in 2025, like what you're working on, what your title may be there, all that jazz.
Yeah. So I'm nice to meet everyone. I'm Aaron Eisman, based here in Los Angeles. I have my own social media agency. We work with a lot of different startups in sports, tech, and athletes as well. And yeah, I love what I do. I love the people I get to work with, and it's been an awesome journey.
So one of the, like I said, I was just talking to Aaron earlier, and I was like, I don't have like these questions that we have to get through. But the first thing that kind of get us started, which I've been doing in all the other episodes, is as far back into your memory as you can go, whether you were 3 years old or whether this didn't kick in into your thought process till like 13, 14, the earliest possible memory of when you knew there's something that you wanted to do, like what you wanted to be when you grow up, for example. How old were you and what was that concept? What was that idea?
Yeah, the idea was probably 7 or 8 years old, I would say. I got the blonde hair. I'm playing basketball, and it's great. And obviously, everyone dreams at some point when they're in sports that you can be a professional athlete one day. Um, you know, thought I was going to be the Jewish Larry Bird, but that didn't work out. Obviously, I'm not. I'm here doing a social media agency, but at the time, it was a passion of mine to be in sports, be like one day play professionally. And my brother gave me Aaron, it's going to be a 0.00000% chance of you making it anywhere in college or professionally. I was like, oh, okay, I guess he's right. And so I had to think of something else to do. But yeah, I wanted to be a professional athlete, NBA, and then eventually I wanted to be in golf world when I started getting into golf when I was 12, 13. But that things have changed along the years and evolved. I'm still in sports, but I've never played professionally, sadly.
So, what was the length of time from when you first remember that you wanted to be a basketball player, NBA player, to the time when you're like, well, I guess when you say your brother
Yeah,
crushed your
crushed my
dreams.
dreams. Yeah,
Was that like a 7 year time span before you're like, you know what, golf is interesting too, or how long
yeah.
do you remember having that NBA dream?
Yeah, I think 7 or 8. Loved playing basketball, pick up basketball. The courts of growing up in near a park, and everything like that. Scheduled basketball, but I think when I turned like 11 or 12, so like 3 or 4 years later, it was like this kind of well, brother's kind of right. I'm not growing much. I don't have much of a skill set other than I could shoot a 3 point really well. Maybe I'm like the Kyle Korver of of the day in West Los Angeles. But like other than that, I didn't have much skills to offer. And then one day I didn't make my high school basketball team, and that's when I really knew like this was 13, 12, 13 years old. That's when I really knew like, okay, this is probably not happening anymore. But then I switched over to golf, and I was like, golf is a great sport, a long-term sport, fun. I love Tiger Woods. He was one of my favorite athletes at the time, as well with a lot of people who love golf. And I started getting into it, started getting like practicing, going to play with the team. We went to LA City Championship, Los Angeles City Championship, won it 2 years in a row. Like it was fun to be involved in golf. Like some of that athleticism, a little bit traded over from basketball to golf, but obviously I picked it up very quickly, which was a good sport to have and to be a part of.
So, when you changed your athletic interest from basketball to golf, was the end game the I think I can like be a professional, or is it just I really like this and I want to do this? Was there actually a career thought to it?
At first it was like, can I play this in collegiately? Like there was times where maybe I thought I had the skills. I'd be in a junior golf tournament and I would place in the top 20 out of, 80, 90 kids, but ultimately like I didn't get as much recruited into college to play, maybe be a walk-on somewhere, but no, it wasn't like really an opportunity there yet. But ultimately it was like a good sport to like learn from like people around me and skills and mentorship from the older golfers on the high school team, and it just thrilled my love of sports, especially golf, I think, over time. So I loved being a part of it. But yeah, at some point I knew like that's probably not happening either, college golf. But at least it gave me some opportunity to learn a new sport in high school, and then I still play it 20 years later today.
That's the one thing I got to get you to teach me because I can't swing to save my life. And I don't know if you and I have, I know we've been to a few conferences together and met up there,
Yeah.
but I feel like a lot of them that have like a Top Golf nearby always do like some company does some
Yeah.
private party at a Top Golf, and I'm the most competitive person that I know. And out of all the sports that I did growing up, golf was not one of them. And so it's essentially me yelling at myself because I can't hit 100 yards, even though I'm swinging the life out of the club.
Yep.
And I'm just,
Yeah.
so yeah, the next time I see you and there's a Top Golf nearby, I am dubbing you my swing coach.
I love
Uh,
it. I love it. There's things you can teach. I mean, the people who've been playing for 10, 20 years can teach a lot in within 30 minutes to an hour. Like it's just like the do's and don'ts of
yeah.
like golf is very quickly to know, because it's different than a basketball's jump shot. Like maybe you have a certain form that you gotta stick by, and this is the way you put the ball in the hoop. But golf, it's like different shots, different holes, different clubs, different mentality. I mean, it all changes. Every shot is different on a golf course. You're never going to hit the same shot twice.
I can guarantee you that I can hit under 100 yards twice in a row with a driver. I can guarantee that.
There
Um,
you go.
so I I think we're so right now. I guess we're about right before college, or going into college. So I guess everything through middle school and high school and completing high school. Was there ever a other idea of a career path, or were you just zoned in on I can figure this out? It's going to be something sports related, or did I guess maybe ninth to 12th grade? Was there anything that was kind
Yeah.
of brain babying, as I like to say?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I also, I mean, there was part of me that was, my parents wanted me to play a musical instrument. There was one called the oboe, which most people don't know what the oboe is, but I tried it out for 4 years, 5 years, and I thought maybe I can get a college scholarship playing the oboe because it's needed, but I didn't have enough passion to do it. So I checked that off as no, probably not going to be a professional oboe player growing up. And then I went to a passion that I still have passion for now. I went to sports writing. I thought just sports writing was so cool to me. I mean, I'd read these guys. I'd pick up the newspaper, the Los Angeles Times, every morning. Jay Adonde, Bill Plaschke, TJ Simers, all these guys that I loved reading their articles about, opinion articles or articles about the teams they were covering. I'd read this guy named John Feinstein, a really well-known sports writer that just passed away a couple of months ago. Amazing books about him covering teams like Season on the Brink with the Indiana Hoosiers or Navy versus Army rivalry. Really cool stuff. I just got into writing. He did a book called The Punch, which ended up making me want to be a sports writer one day. And so ultimately, like that's what I thought I was going to do. So I did some sports writing in high school. Then eventually I did some sports writing in college, and that's what I thought my career path was going to be after that point. Is just like I love writing. I love getting into covering teams and to write cool stories about the behind the scenes, behind the stats kind of stories. And yeah, that's what I thought I was going to do from ninth grade till college. That's what the passion was.
So I don't know if we covered this yet, but what was the actual degree you were going after in college?
Yeah, when in college, got a journalism degree from
Okay,
Indiana University. So from
that checks
LA,
out.
but so yeah, so basically sports writer.
Yeah,
As soon as I stepped on campus, my dad still loves telling this story. Most freshmen's first semester don't get a beat, like someone a sport to cover, basically is what they call a
right.
beat. And I got field hockey placed first thing on campus. They said, Aaron, we love your writing from high school hockey. I said, "What is field hockey?" They said, "Don't worry, you'll go figure it out." And so next thing you know, I'm on a field hockey field covering it, and the coach is asking me, "Do you know what we're doing? Do you know this or that?" No, I have no idea, but I'll come to your practices and I'll learn it.
How long do you
So,
think it took you to pick it up?
oh my God, probably like 3 weeks to a month. I mean, to understand the rules and the how it works, it's a mixture of that like soccer meets hockey kind of a thing. But there's also nuances to it, like how they form in the part of the half circle to where people are like making sure they're pressing a player or someone is blocking the goalie to make sure that the ball gets through. There's just a lot of nuances that I had no idea about with field hockey, but it was good to just be like, here, Aaron, you love sports? Figure out a sport you don't know anything about and figure it out very quickly. So I was loved it, and I did some great stories along the way. Although it's one of those like sports that you're like, why would you cover it? Why is it important?
Why does
I
this
guess
need to be? Why do people need to be reading about this
why
sport?
why do people need to be reading this freshman talk about field hockey
Yeah.
every Wednesday? But next thing I do, I did some cool stories. One of the women wins the Rhodes Scholarship. I did a whole story about her, and she's from Zimbabwe and wanted to fix the Zimbabwe economy. So I did a whole story about that. I did a story about this other woman who's a triple major in like multiple different facets and just wanted to become a doctor and save cancer one day. Like there was just so many interesting things that I just thought was so cool. It's like I'd cover the games, they'd win, lose, whatever, but then I'd make these stories that I would talk to these athletes about, and it was just phenomenal about their path to success and what they want to do outside of field hockey as well.
So, aside from essentially the collegiate assigned writing task while you're going for journalism, did you get any other opportunities outside of college during your what I assume is a 4 year degree?
Yeah, yeah, I had internships along the way, and they were pivotal. I mean, the first one was the most random internship I could have. I was like the PR slash mascot wrangler slash inventory specialist intern at the Inland Empire 66ers, which is a single A team out of San Bernardino. And I remember commuting every day from my parents' house with my car an hour away, back and forth and just grinding, working hours, sometimes between 6 hours to 12 hours a day, almost 7 days a week. But it just taught me so much about myself. It's just like put in the work ethic, learn how to do different things on the job because everyone wears 20 different hats on a minor league team. And I learned it very quickly. So that was one of the first internships I had. But I've had internships with Surf Channel and Bleacher Report and other places that really even helped me to this day. So I mean, it was fun stories that I've had.
Did you just say that you commuted 6 to 12 hours a day?
It was an hour each way to commute, but the working time was 6 to 12 hours a day. Like the
Gosh, you.
actual,
I was
it
like,
was
you're driving
no.
6 hours both
I hope
ways?
I wouldn't do that. That would be crazy. That would definitely is for an internship that makes no money. I don't think I would do that. That'd be crazy.
Okay, so we graduate college. We did a bunch of
Yeah.
internships. We're starting to build the resume from a journalistic standpoint.
Yeah.
What is the first opportunity after college?
You know, after college was just so interesting place. I think I was in this mindset of like the newspaper industry, which is what I wanted to be, was kind of doing not so hot at the time. Like newspapers were folding, small newspapers were being eaten up by the bigger newspapers. Like there wasn't many opportunities in the sports writing field. I mean, I got offers to be in, no offense, like South Dakota and Arkansas to cover high school gymnastics on a Friday night, and I just did thought about it myself, and I was like, maybe I don't want to do this right now, or maybe I want to work for a big newspaper. Maybe I want to do something different. The first job out of college I got was with a startup called Movily, which is basically a startup that was kind of like sports blogging. Reddit meets Twitter in a sense of like we were just like this site where you can like have a game wall. Like it'd be like New York Rangers versus the Pittsburgh Penguins, and people can go at it and message each other back and forth, almost like a Reddit thread, into a game wall is what we called it. That startup, I can tell a story later on. Didn't do anything. Didn't I mean help me with understanding what I don't want to do, but ultimately it was like it was a fun just place to be. There was just four of us in a startup in a small office, and we were just grinding away, getting content up on social and up on our channels. But ultimately, yeah, it was not meant for me, but at least it was something to get me paid something to start paying off the college loans.
So what year are we in right now for
This is
this startup?
This is 2013. We were run by a guy named Ron, and Ron was gung ho about like he made money in a startup before. He's going to make this a success. He didn't know much about sports, but he was like all excited about how sports and social media can kind of be a thing. We can have a sports specific Twitter kind of a thing, but on game walls called Movily and but yeah, this was maybe it's before its time, maybe it just will never bring traction and it just didn't do so well, but it was at least something he tried and I tried and it was just my first job out of college.
That's what I was going to ask you next. Is like, why do you think it wasn't successful? Do you think it was just the timing of it? I guess you're saying.
The timing and the competition, I mean, you're I mean, it's so tough at the time. We're trying to compete with Twitter and maybe Facebook and some other places, and it's just such a tough place to compete unless you have the money, the resources, the marketing capabilities, the user acquisition abilities. Like, it's not going to be so. It's an uphill road to compete with those types of people. I mean, we could have made our own niche, and then maybe it would have made sense, but I don't think we had the resources to get to where we wanted to be one day. And so we had between 500 to 2,000 users each month, but it wasn't like substantial at any time. And I don't think it ever grew successful even after I left.
Okay, so it wasn't you didn't leave because well, I guess your thought process was this isn't going anywhere. I want to do more with my interest, with my degree, with my skill set, and then so you kind of like saw the writing on the wall. I'm going to step
Yeah.
away from this before this steps away from itself. And then what
Yeah.
so I think you said what 2013, 2014 we're in right now.
Yeah,
All right, so
exactly. So, but I mean, after that, I mean, someone said to me, Aaron, like, go work for a bigger company. I mean, maybe startup is not a good place for you to be right now, right out of college, but maybe you can find something that you're passionate about doing at a higher level. So, applied to jobs all over the country, Sports Illustrated, NBA, CAA Sports, everything in sports, basically, I applied to, and I got a lot of rejections. Almost got a job with the NBA as a project employee, a part-time employee, but end up the next I get no. I get a no after being one of the finalists. And then the next day I get an offer to come to Turner Sports in Atlanta, move there and help run social media for them. And that completely changed my career trajectory. There was 9,000 people I later found out that applied to 9 jobs. I was one of 9 to get that job, and
nice.
I've been in social media ever since 2014.
So what was that? What was that? I guess that job like, or that working with that company like? So it's a much bigger company than, of course, that you
Yeah.
just left, and you find out later on that you're one of 9,000. So what?
Yeah.
How long did that opportunity last, and what was kind of everything you were doing with that company?
Yeah, I was on a 1 year contract to help run social media from September 2014 to September 2015. It was a great place to be. I was part of the first social media team for them. So they had maybe a publicist and someone else running social media at the time. Then they said, you know what, we got to hire some people who are endemic to the space, is my boss used the title as, Morgan Dewan. And Morgan said that to us, and next thing you know, they're hiring a bunch of 20, 21, 22 year olds, like right out of college, and they're saying, you guys run the lion's share of all of our social media channels for NBA on TNT, NBA TV, March Madness, and a little bit of PGA social media I ran as well. So we did all those channels and to the fire and said, you guys figure it out. We'll oversee the operation, but learn on the job and post a lot of great content for us and get us new followers.
So I'm curious because this is such a better opportunity for you and your interest in your overall career goals. I'm curious why. How, I guess like so. How long and then how did that end to where you moved on to greener pastures?
Yeah, I think it it kind of like sparked some of the creativity that I had in my writing days. It like I loved being creative, whether it was in high school or college, writing these cool stories, these Sports Illustrated esque stories, ESPN the magazine type of stories, and it was just so cool to me to do like this at a different level. Like it was, although I wasn't writing as much, I was writing, instead of writing 140, words or 500 words for an article, I'm writing 140 characters for a tweet or less. So it's like it was that ability to like I have to be creative with my words and my writing, even though it wasn't much of a writing. It was just like, have fun with it, add to the caption of the video or the photo or the graphic. But it allowed me to be very creative at a high level. Although I was a sports writer through and through for the last 8 years before then, it allowed me to be, hey, Aaron, like, be creative, be fun, think outside the box, like create, I didn't know how to do Photoshop at the time. I had to push myself, watch some YouTube videos, and learn how to be a Photoshop graphic designer. I learned that all on the job of being at Turner Sports. I learned how to do some video editing clips. There was a program called Snappy TV that allowed you to clip live TV. And it was so cool to me. All this technology was so cool to me and got me excited about, maybe this is a future for me to do social media at a high level.
And is that what kind of sparked your exit from that opportunity? Because you started having all of these like, oh man, there's so many things I can do that maybe I didn't know about before. Or maybe I know how to do better. And then it was just, I guess, just what a lightning strike of, you know what, this is my time to advance to the next step now.
I think what happened was the contract was coming to a close. Um, it was kind of one of those things where a couple of you might get brought into next year, and I thought that might have happened. And then one of my, friends, managers at the time, Jimmy Bly said, "Hey, why don't you look into going to Bleacher Report? Turner Sports owns Bleacher Report. I already have connections there, Aaron. You can talk to Kenny Dorsett, one of the directors of social at the time for Bleacher Report." And see if you can get a job there. I think they can be something one day, and they're starting to be something. They were. I mean, this is 2015, and to the point where it was like they were known as the listicle type of article website where anyone could write for them. That's what's called Bleacher Report. Anyone from the bleachers can write for them, basically. But eventually, it was just a job interview that I was like, this could be something big for me in my career. And next thing you know, I'm spending 3 years at Bleach Report doing all kinds of things for them on social media. But that transition from Turner Sports to Bleach Report was just someone putting a good word for me, and I took it and I ran with it. And just me being good to people, maybe ends up working out well for me.
I don't know if I ever put those two together of for the name of Bleach Report. Like anybody from the bleachers can write a report. I was like, I mean, that's I don't know why. I sometimes I just you don't think about like how a company name comes to
Right,
fruition. When you said it, I go,
right,
oh
right.
yeah, that makes total sense. But again, I've never thought of why are they called Bleacher Report.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the same thing with acronyms and ESPN and the worldwide leader of sports, everything like that, or like Fox or any of these other
Yeah.
places that are in a certain way. But yeah, Bleacher Report was so interesting that they did it that way because I was even a writer for them in 2012 as a college student. I'd write articles for them, and I just thought this was so cool. I could do these fun top 10 teams in the Big Ten, whatever articles and stuff like that, and I was given the opportunity to write really well, but then it dramatically changed my career when I was able to get to Bleach Report as a professional full timer and actually see some things that I could do there, and I'd hide my skills by being involved with teams that were so vastly creative and hardworking and people that I could really like lean on for success and be a part of success as well. So that was cool to be at that 2015 to 2018 period when I was at Bleach Report.
So full time writing, pumping out content. Not are you doing kind of anything on the side in terms of like your own blog, or are you just so kind of so ingrained and you finally get this awesome full time opportunity that like you're not even thinking about anything else besides the content you're creating for Bleacher Report?
No, I was head down like in 2015. I was like when I started to see the excitement and I don't know if the expression, the writing on the wall, but like everyone was starting to see that like we started to hire people that were like highly creative in social media. And I was a part of that. I wasn't say I'm not the most creative person, but I was at least in the room of people that were superstar creative people. The CJ Tolodanos of the world, the guy who came from Funny or Die and like would get hired by Bleacher Report to do some great things on sports and social media. But I was like there to be posting great content, get stuff out there, think, ideate, and think of viral ideas. And when I saw things change for us was I was employee number four on the social media team. We had a small team. Next 6 months later, we had about 18 to 22 people all doing social media at a high level for Bleacher Report in different forms of a department. So we took it from Aaron, you just have fun with it, do social media too. It was like hardcore business model for them to run social media and hire the best of the best people to become the number one sports social media or sports media outlet in America for anything digital. That's what they wanted to be.
So you were kind of that part of that core team that kind of grew it to the big name that everybody knows. That's pretty awesome to kind of be part of something that big. So of course you already kind of gave us the years of your working at Bleacher Report. I believe it ended at 2018. Is that correct?
Exactly.
All
Yeah.
right. So how did the departing, I guess you could call it that, from Bleacher Report, like what came to be? Other opportunities or just writing on the wall, as you said again? Um,
Yeah.
what happened there?
It was a little bit of the writing on the wall, as well. Like it was just one of those things where I came in one day right after the Super Bowl, 2018 Super Bowl, thought I was going to get promoted that day. I was so excited. I was hearing this from my bosses that this could be happening to you. And next, it turns into a layoff. And I think about 3 to 5% of the company gets laid off that day, which happens very frequently in sports media. I would say people don't necessarily, they talk about it when it happens, but they don't talk about the it happens a lot, it consumes a lot of sports media companies where they have to lay off and then hire and then lay off and hire, and it's this cycle. But I got laid off that day, and I'll always remember that day. Like I don't remember as much of the layoff and what happened in that point, but I remember leaving the office without my jacket. It's cold and rainy, calling my mom, she's not picking up, calling my dad, he didn't pick up, my sister finally picked up. I'm like, what just happened? Like this is totally shocking. I didn't think I was gonna get laid off today, but it happened and it changed me for a little bit. And then I was eventually got back on the horse and got a job with the NFL, which I'll tell you about in a little bit. But it was shocking at the time because I didn't think I was going to get laid off. I didn't see the writing on the wall yet, but it ended up happening.
Okay, so well, you kind of already led to it, so let's go right to the next part. So 2000, you working at this job, it's dotting all the i's, crossing all the t's, and then it just comes to the end. And
hmm
then are you doing the same thing you were doing before, with that startup company, where you're simply just applying to anyone, not anyone, but like a targeted applying, but just so many other companies? Like, all right, let's see uh, which company will now get me now that I have this much experience at a much more reputable source. Kind of paint that picture for us of what happened after you got let go.
Yeah, I think at this point I was in this mindset of I was in Indiana for 4 years with college. I was in Atlanta for another year. I was in New York City for another 3 years. It's all adding up, and then I saw, my older sister ends up, getting pregnant. My nephew is born, and I'm like, maybe this is time to finally come back to LA if I can find the right job for me. And, I think to me, I was always like just a kind, bubbly, fun person. I mean, I was this way, but like in Bleacher Report, I was especially this way, and I just love to what I love to call is build bridges, maintain bridges, try not to burn bridges, and that's something I stick with me to this day. And I made connection with CJ Toledano, the guy I met. He ended up going to the NFL, and he said there's a job opportunity for you at NFL Network if you want to come back to LA. And I said, this aligns exactly perfectly with what I want to do. I want to come back to LA. I was just in a rut after going through a layoff. And yeah, that was another great opportunity that brought me back up again, I would say.
And so, I guess, what was your responsibilities, with this opportunity? Was it specific to, like, are you assigned like the teams? Is it a certain aspect, or was it just pump out content, whatever the content is?
It was to run NFL Network social media channels, the TV stations. So I had to build a team, small team, about 4 or 5 people, to run NFL Network social media. That was covering every game on our network. That was working with talents like Rich Eisen, Deion Sanders, who he had a shitty show at the time, but that's besides me. I had to cover that show. I had to do Good Morning Football with Kay Adams and Peter Schrager and those guys. I had to watch all the TV all day long, at least the original programming on our network. And me and the team of 4 others would just post content, get it all out there, pump it out as much as possible. And 2018, 2019 was kind of I would say the years of Instagram coming to, a superstar fruition, like to a lot of people. I mean, we grew those channels 250,000 new followers in 9 months at NFL Network for Instagram. Twitter, Facebook was another 20, 30,000 each. But I mean, it was impressive to see the growth on Instagram. And then that even gave me more excitement of like, I'm good at this. I've proved myself in the past at Bleach Report and Turner Sports, but I'm really good at this. And that gave me the validation even more by coming back to a job like NFL Network and showing my true colors that I can really do this at a high level and work at one of the top TV stations for sports in the world.
Now, when you got this opportunity, was this offered to you with any kind of like, I'm going to say maybe like short termish contract where it's like, hey, come help us out social media for 12 months or whatever it may be. Like when you accepted it, was there already an end date associated to that offer?
Yeah, it was. It was. I was on a contract, and so the contract was kind of, and I think the NFL does this a lot. It's kind of like a tryout contract. Like, let's see how you can do. Like, we'll give you 9, 10 months is what they gave me from July 2018 till about March or April 2019 or so. Bad at math, but like that's the period of time that they gave me, and they said, run social, do what you can, get our numbers up, do push out great things, and like see if you can like make this a success even more than it is because they had a 10-person staff on NFL, they had a 3-person staff on the check down, which was like their funny channels, a historical channel they had, but they want NFL Network to be run by me and a team of 4 others, and just to post on social media and do things at a high level. But yeah, I mean, it was a contract. It was a tryout period. There was ways that the full timers get treated differently than the ways the contractors do in the NFL. I just noticed that early day one, really. But like ultimately, like yeah, I liked having that ability to prove myself. I like my the ability to be competitive and to like showcase that I can do this at a high level and people can enjoy my content, my work, my writing, everything, and really latch onto it in a sense. So yeah, it was a great place to be and work, and I think it was just, it's just fun to get that experience to be under the shield, so to speak, at the NFL.
So you mentioned this as like a 9/10 month contract, and then you also mentioned that you've completely blew the Instagram following out of the water. So did
Yeah.
they go, hey, like, yes, this is what we need. You're on
Yeah.
board, and they giving you contracts, or did they turn that into some sort of part time full time role? What happened there?
The next thing, like the contract's coming to a close, and it was kind of a come back next year and do it all over again, Aaron. Like we don't need you much in the off season. That's too slow for us to bring you on board, or turn you full time. So at that point, I'm like in an interesting phase of like, okay, do I go back to the NFL next year and do it all over again, or do I start something new, or do I apply to a bunch of new jobs just like I was in the past in sports? And that's what happens a lot. Um, and then my uncle talked to me one day and said to me, Aaron, why don't you try consulting? You've got such great experience. You've done this for 6, almost 7 years at social media at a high level for these big organizations. Maybe there's some people out there that would love to work with you. And you don't have a wife and kid at the time. So it was just like, try being a consultant. And so July 2019, I launched my own business, Eisman Digital Consulting. And I took the plunge into entrepreneurship and I haven't really looked back ever since, but it's been a tough road up and down with business, and I can get into that in a little bit. But like ultimately, um, it was just kind of going my own, being an entrepreneur, and see if I can make a business out of this, and I have, which I'm proud of as well. Over the last 6 years, we've been successful and been unsuccessful, but we're doing really well right now as a business, which is nice to see.
So did you have that this consulting? I keep the what I always refer to at every episode. It feels like brain babies. Did you have this consulting brain baby prior to your last contract at the NFL Network running out, or was it ran out and then it's like, all right, what can I do now? Oh, let me do this.
It was like a what can I do now? It was like a do I want to keep grinding away? Like I went through contract to layoff to contract. I mean, great places I've gotten to work and great people I've gotten to meet along the way, but like, do I want to control my future and my ambitions and my ability to make something out of myself even more? Or do I want to just go back into the corporate bubble and just keep grinding away? And don't get me wrong, some people love won't want to be an entrepreneur because they don't like being the lone wolf or whatever it is. They'd rather be in the pack and be a part of something bigger than themselves and this and that. But I noticed to myself like maybe I can make something big out of my opportunity and be an entrepreneur and be like starting my own business and seeing if it can work and something. And I'm just glad I was able to do that and have self-believe myself and have the support system. My parents, my uncle, other people around me just said, you know what, go for it. Like, why not? If not now, when?
So you launched the consulting in 2019, so essentially just before COVID. And how much did that
Yeah.
kind of rock the world of your goals? You're only what, like a year in at this point.
Yeah, yeah. So July 2019, I started my business, and then let's see, in January, well, March really comes out, but January's business started slowing down for some reason because people started hearing about COVID. And then March, April is when, it came to America, obviously, around that time. And then people just started getting worried about like spending money. Should I spend money on social media? Should I spend money on this or that? What is happening to the world right now? Or what's happening in America with COVID right now? It was a lot of like unknown what's the future look like. And so I lost a lot of clients that way. I mean, I lost people that were just like, Aaron, we don't know what to do. We're going to spend money or not. So out of the six clients I had at the time at December 2019, by the time February, March rolled around, I had two clients that stuck with me. The rest, the other four were just like, we don't want to do this right now. Maybe come back to us when COVID's done. And I just didn't know when that, obviously, no one knew when that was going to be done, so to speak. It was just, that was just like, what's next for me? And luckily, two clients stuck with me, but I was grinding along the way, going through ups and downs in my life and professionally because I just didn't know what to do with myself in terms of, is my consulting business, can it really make it after this COVID period?
So you kind of already painted the picture of it did survive. You got through, and then like you said, it's still something that's kicking on all cylinders today. So my question on the consulting thing is what it is today and what it was when you first kind of launched it. Like, how different were the ideas of what exactly you were going to consult for, I guess?
Yeah, I initially it was let me help athletes out. Like I think athletes are not well educated on social media or marketing and collegiately, and I just thought that would be like athletes would be cool to start with. I mean, they make millions of dollars. Why can't they spend 1,000, 2,000 a month on Aaron and social media consulting? And I would talk to these sports agencies. I would talk to the big ones. I talked to the middle-sized ones, and I talked to the small ones. And some were very open and willing to like let me work with their clients, and some were kind of gatekeeper-esque mentality, I would say as well. How things changed is probably in about 2022 or around that 2022, 2023 period, where I was just kind of like, maybe there's other people I can work with other than just athletes and a few sports companies here and there. So I started looking into helping startups and sports tech and alternative sports and people that were just need social media help, but they don't want to spend $10,000 on it a month with a big marketing firm. So I kind of found that niche and started exploring those avenues and finding people that would want to work with us. And I turned it from Eisman Digital Consulting to just Eisman Digital and became a social media agency and just started slowly hiring people benefit my business and build a brand that was more than just two, three clients. Can we be five, six clients, seven clients? How do we get to that growth stage? I was never an entrepreneur, I'm never a finance guy or a growth guy, whatever it is, but I've learned how to figure it out. And, now to this day, we're at nine, 10 clients. We're about to sign an 11th client. So we're rocking and rolling, but early stages, it was just like, I don't know how to go from here to there because I never had that experience and I didn't have any mentors at the time.
Trial by fire.
Exactly.
So you painted the whole picture there. So we started with being the Kyle Korver of California. We
Yeah.
we grew into being the Dustin Johnson, and now we are
Yeah.
here, 2025, crushing it with the
Yeah.
consulting. The one of the I would say the last question I want to ask, and this is something we
Yeah.
kind of always like to wrap it up with, is if we were to zoom out and we were to look at to young you shooting 3 pointers with your eyes closed
Yeah.
to where we are now today, chit chat on this podcast, the entire time in between that, there are many things that happen. There are things that were in your control, decisions you made. There were things that are outside of your control. If you were to attribute one specific butterfly effect in that entire spectrum of time that led you to where you are today, what is that one specific butterfly effect moment that kind of shifted everything?
I think early on, I think my parents preached constantly about being a good person, being humble, being kind to people, being thoughtful, being a good listener. Like these are things that I think I still use to this day. I just want to be as, however much, I've written a book about sports social media. I've teaching this at courses. I've worked with over 80 clients in the last 6 years. I've done this really at a high level, really well. But I've learned at its core to grow your business, to grow anything in life. Be a good person, be humble, be nice, be caring about people. And so I'd say that butterfly effect probably came around when I was like, yeah, like 12 to 14, that transition period from basketball to golf. And I was just like, what to do next and what I should be doing with myself and my life. And I think it comes down to like my mom and dad just preaching those messages of like humbleness, kindness. It'll get you far in life if you could just be good to people. Karma, that type of stuff is just it's cliche, but it works, and it's worked to me to this day. I've been good to people, and it's gotten me jobs at places. It's gotten me new clients. It's gotten me more revenue and money for my business. And I think I just want to preach that to the world is like, don't lose the side of yourself that is that kid getting kicked off the basketball team saying what's next, and just be good to people and be kind and bring out good in the world, and the good will come back to you, I hope.
I think I could vouch for that because one of my, I mean, the first time we ran into each other, I can't remember what conference it was.
G2E.
Was it G2E? Yeah, and
Maybe G2E. Yeah, I think it might have been
one of
G2E.
them. There's so
Yeah.
many.
There's a lot.
But
There's
no,
it's all.
you are probably, in terms of like somebody meeting you in person for the first time, probably one of the most like smiling, positive people that it's kind of, I mean, not saying that like everybody's grumpy in this industry, but it's
Yeah.
just like your level of positivity on like the first initial handshake is definitely above average. So definitely attribute that butterfly effect makes perfect sense.
Mhm.
Aaron, I do want to appreciate you being here, sharing your story with us. Um, if you're watching this on YouTube, you guys do see his name right underneath his face. Go ahead and shoot him a connect if you're interested in connecting with him on LinkedIn. I can't guarantee you that he's going to accept it though, but you can try anyway. Any
Yeah,
last
I accept 7 out of 10 of them. So
you
I'm
have
70%.
a 70% chance of getting that. But Aaron, thank you again for joining us here. If you guys do want to watch any of the other episodes we have on here, we go at live. Well, not necessarily live, but the videos go up and the audio comes out every Tuesday morning at 6 a.m. So make sure you subscribe, whatever podcast network you like listening to, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Thanks again, Aaron.
Thanks for having me.